What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Comic Source. My name is Billy, and today we're going to be talking about the Hawkeye Finale. My initial thoughts, just like everybody else, is that it's mid.
Don't say that.
But after watching it a couple times, I feel like it's a good conclusion to the story provided, which evolves into 2 points that surround the fact that the story itself was poor. Which is why now it's astounding that episodes 1 through 5 were actually so good, but it's the exact reason why the finale is so bad. It was a good culmination, but there was nothing to culminate to. All it really was just the intro to Wilson Fisk, and even that was handled pretty poorly. But the episode's not without its highlights, starting off with the intro. I'm a big fan of this intro just because, we got a couple things that we needed. Like, it allows Vincent D'Onofrio to showcase just a little bit of the nonverbal acting that he was able to use in Daredevil, the famous eye twitch from Wilson Fisk. And of course, Vincent D'Onofrio is a big man. He's 6'4", but in the Daredevil series, they were able to use different angles and stuff like that to make him look enormous. And in this show, they make him look even more enormous. The only issue I have with this is while he was obviously off-put by her wanting to quit like it was Goldman Sachs, I can't help but think that the Fist that we know and love would have responded in a much different fashion. And I know that they have to tone him down a little bit because it's Disney. Obviously, it has to be a little bit toned down from what he was in Daredevil. But this episode just kind of made him look like a bitch. But moving on to the second quitting of his day, Maya's quitting. This one was a little bit, more believable, obviously, because they have that more family dynamic. He's definitely going to be a little bit more soft with her, as we saw with the I love you. But it's this scene and another scene in this episode that really makes me wish that we got more of Kazi. In my opinion, Francis Fee actually had a great portrayal of Kazi's character. He did a great job. But obviously his character was wasted by the end of the episode. I just wish we could have seen a little bit more of him. But now that I'm thinking, maybe we'll get some flashbacks between him and Maya in Echo. But honestly, at that point, I wish we could have just had him in the show to begin with. And then of course we get the scene of Clint and Kate making their trick arrows. Which again, it's really cool to see Hank Pym providing for the heroes because, he was obviously more closed off before. Which brings us to the more heartfelt scene where Kate tells Clint that, I saw you jump from that building even though you knew you couldn't fly. And I like these scenes because not only is it important for the chemistry of the two characters, it's really important for the emotional state of Clint because he was pretty damn close to getting to where he was in What If when he said that his will to live meter was flatlining. Which brings us to the party. And first things first, I just want to point out Jack did not have to do Armand the 90th like that. He's just a kid. You didn't need to do him like that. But I take back everything I said in the last episode. I can't believe that Jack's just a good guy. My bad, Jack. But of course, with a poorly executed finale, there's going to be a couple minimal things that are going to stand out to me. Like when Kate was showing her mom the evidence of her talking to Fisk. While of course I love Vera Farmiga's performance so far, and I love the casting of her in this show, her performance in this scene was just kind of off to me. Like, it just seemed like she was just out of breath. Like, she didn't portray anything that was actually, like, fear to me. It was weird. It was kind of overacted in some ways, but it was overacted in the sense that she just got done with a 5K, not that she was fearing for her life. But a sequence that I actually really did like was the Kate and Yelena sequence, where they started in the elevator and then they went across the hallway into the window where she was going to jump out and try and kill Hawkeye. I love the camera work. The fight choreography was kind of wonky at times, but it was really fun in general. They also worked the comedy pretty well. And while some people are off-put by the fact that she's being kind of soft with her, I thought it made perfect sense. Kate's not her actual target. She sees Kate as a kid. While Yelena is a master assassin, she's also kind of cool. It totally makes sense to me that she wouldn't be taking any kill shots here. She's just messing with her. And of course, the wall scaling from Yelena was dope. And I know that they meant to have that direct parallel of experience to non-experience with Yelena and Kate doing the same thing, but obviously Kate's doesn't go well. It was just so unrealistic that it took me out of the episode. This isn't just the physics don't work nitpick. It was just poorly executed and it made no sense. But I gotta reiterate, my bad, Jack. Go off. You're just a funny dude that's good at sword fighting. My bad. And then this brings me to the next moment that took me out of the episode. I'm sorry, guys. I loved you before, but this was just weird. The LARPers coming out in full costume and then leading people to safety. I thought, at that point, I'm cool with it. But then once they threw out, one of them hitting one of the bros with a pole and then the belly bump from the other dude, it was just kind of weird to me. There were so many moments in the earlier episodes with just, actual cool fighting, and then we got that to start the finale. Which, speaking of cool fighting, the ice rink fight starts out very creative, but then moved to them just waving around their bows and shooting randomly. It's like they got bored or they wanted to just skip to the end 3/4 of the way through the fight. But of course there is the good ending with the Kate using the Pym Tech on the truck and then it getting taken away from the owl. That was funny. But you guys know what I'm talking about. There was that one piece of the sequence where Hawkeye was just waving around his bow and it quite clearly missed the stunt double and they should have just run that take one more time. And this brings us to the finale of Kazi's character, where Maya pulls up to him and tries to leave, but of course he has orders from Wilson Fisk to eliminate her on sight. But this is where I'm seeing a little bit more of France's acting ability, which makes me wish that I would have seen him in something else. But of course we get to the theft of the episode, where Florence Pugh completely steals the show. Clint v. Yelena is just the most emotional and best part of the episode, like by far. Every beat of it is hit as intended. I love the non-verbal acting from Florence Pugh, that's what really hits for me there. And I love that this is just the beginning of Yelena, and I'm excited to see where they take her next. But then this is where the episode has just a huge drop-off, where it's Fisk v. everybody. And I understand that Fisk is who he is in the comics, and they were having a more grounded version of Daredevil, where it was like, touch him, he bleeds, but in the comics he's just a little bit more sturdy than that. But damn, having 3 separate did he die moments in 5 minutes is just kind of lazy. And I like that Kate had to use her arrows to get creative to be able to beat him. Because if they went for a close combat finish with that, it would have been the last straw. That would have just been awful. But as I'm sure you guys have seen by now, Maya shooting him was not the last straw for him. This is an exact replica of what happened in the comics, where she shot him in the head and then he was blinded. And I like this because, you can't just grab Wilson Fisk from Daredevil, bring him in here, and expect to be able to do the same thing and have it work. Switch it up, do something new, but keep the same character. Just change something drastic about it, like blinding him. And shout out to my friend Anthony for pointing this out. But the suit with the floral pattern on it that he's wearing throughout this entire episode is actually a direct rip from a Spider-Man comic, which I think is pretty dope. I kind of hope that we could see him interact with Spider-Man a little bit, especially with the opening of Spider-Man PS4. And one of my favorite comic panels of all time, where Peter has the symbiote suit and he almost murders Wilson Fisk. But shout out to Papa Clint Barton, made it home for Christmas, love to see it. And I love the fact that they didn't kill him off either. I wonder how they're going to be able to include him and Kate into future projects. I wonder if they're going to just do a Young Avengers and then have Kate fall back on him for advice, or if he's actually going to be in the thick of it. But, he obviously deserves to retire. He tried to retire 5 years ago, or 10 in the Marvel Universe, but still, let my man play some more golf.
Played 18, shot 18. Just can't seem to miss.
But I do want to talk about a couple projects that I have coming out soon. Tomorrow, I will be reuniting with the Road to Spider-Man Miles Morales crew, and we will be putting out a review for Spider-Man No Way Home. I know it's a little bit late, but I don't really care about the timeline on it. I saw the movie 3 times now. I just want to be able to gather my full opinion on it before I say anything. Because with a movie like this, you can easily have a different first opinion than you had later. And of course, with Boba Fett premiering last night, I will be having an episode on that coming out very soon. But that's it for this video, guys. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Peace.